Hey everyone, how are we doing? How are we doing today? Let's go live. I think we're going live on multiple platforms today. So, I think we're live on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. We've got some new cool things coming to you guys, and today we're speaking about my favorite platforms or softwares or tools to use as a legal nurse consultant. So there are tons and tons of programs and softwares and apps and plugins and downloads, and I just can't even begin to tell you how many there are. And so it makes it super confusing in this market to know which ones are valuable. I do want to lead in by saying, as we start talking about these guys, there's probably lots that I'm not going to mention, and that's okay. There are tons I won't mention because there are just tons. I'm going to share with you my favorites, and I think that's valuable because I've been using them for multiple years, and they are still just good. They're easy to use. There are minimal learning curves, and again, I think personality-wise, they suit me really well, and I like them. So one of the cool things today is we'll jump in. I'll talk a little bit about a few of them, and I don't use many. In lieu of the problem with all the softwares and apps and downloads and plugins and add-ins and I don't know, whatever terms they use nowadays, in relation to all of that, because there are so many, it becomes overwhelming sometimes when you think about starting your legal nurse consulting business or any online business at that you start to think, oh my gosh, I need an app for that. Oh my gosh, I need something for this. I need something for that. So it becomes overwhelming. There's a sense of overwhelm. So I'm hoping I can simplify this for you guys. I'm hoping I can help you see through some of the overwhelm. It was overwhelming, very overwhelming for me in the beginning because every time I turned around, there was this other thing. And that does make it a little challenging when you feel like you're trying to get things up and running. So I'll share with you my solution, my insight, what we've done inside of our LNC Accelerator Business Kickstarter program. Hey, Carly, I'll share with you guys a solution that we came up with, something that we offer to all of the nurses who join our program. It's exclusive to them. I'll share with you what that looks like because it really is an insanely amount of savings and a lot of savings and headache time and non-billable time to have it kind of all in one place. So some of the basic softwares I like to use are softwares that are going to help. So there's different categories of softwares we can use, okay? There are categories that help us with report writing, things that may help us with timelines, softwares that might help us with managing the business. So there's softwares related to calendars, related to emails, related to communication. There's softwares related to writing the reports. There's softwares related to analyzing and the analysis of reports. Tons of apps and softwares and plugins. So I'm going to simplify this and really just share with you what my favorites are, okay? I'm going to share with you my favorites, segment it out, and it's going to seem like a lot. I just want to forewarn you, it's going to seem like a lot. Then I will share with you at the end the LNC blueprint and what it does and kind of how we put that all in one because it can get overwhelming and it's an abundance of software. So let's see how we can simplify this for everyone and make it so that you can jump right in and feel comfortable and confident starting your LNC business. In relation to reports, okay? I'm going to start with reports. In relation to reports, analyzing, sharing report docs, writing and crafting my reports and things like that. I like to use a combination, okay? I like to use Microsoft Word because they have add-ins. They call them add-ins, and I can share with you a little bit about that today. And there's most of them are free. They're called add-ins. And then I like to use Adobe DC Pro. So I like to use Adobe DC Pro because I can bait stamp, paginate medical records. I can organize them. I can flag them. I can search keywords and key elements. I can use it to help me rearrange. I can use it to help me create tables. I can use it for data extraction. I can do document comparison, which is nice inside of Pro. You can panel them up and separate out documents and then have different segments. I like the fact that I can use it to reorganize and organize. So if I'm looking at a personal injury case and I'm trying to really follow the injury and the films and things of what happened, sometimes what appears to be in order isn't. And so I like to put them in order of the event and the occurrence and how it should play out. I love the security features in Adobe Pro. You can do password protection. You can have the redaction tools. You can set reports so that they cannot be altered no matter who downloads or who you share them with. It's signed. You can do PDF templates in there, convert things in and out of PDF templates. You can put watermarks on them. It's just it is a great system. Adobe DC Pro is robust, and this is the one that does take probably a higher element of learning, meaning there's not a steep learning curve, but there is a moderate learning curve. I think it's really cool because all their tools are laid out super easy. So for my personality, it fits really well. And I like, character recognition. Like I said, I like the ability to convert documents. I love the editing of PDFs. I love the way you can annotate and highlight and hyperlink and comment on the reports and the records. I use that a lot for my attorneys. So I love this program. Truly do absolutely love it. And I still think it's an amazing program because it does so much. So still top of my list for reviewing, analyzing, paginating, organizing, extracting data, using document comparison, doing character recognition and keyword searches. And I love it. I also love it because I have Adobe integrated into my Microsoft Word, and that is a feature that you can do. You can go online and Google how to integrate your Adobe as an add-in to Microsoft Word. I think Microsoft Word is very useful. Some reports come into me like that. Sometimes it's easier to craft certain styles of reports in Word than it is in Adobe because I'll already have a template saved and built out inside of Word, right? So I'm going to tip into Microsoft Word, which is something a lot of us have. I enjoy Microsoft Word because of the add-ins, okay? Because I can save a template. Let's say I have a specific attorney who likes his reports and his styles a specific way. I can save a template where I am purely adding in and dragging and dropping. It's a killer opportunity to decrease non-billable time and capitalize your build time, right? It's an amazing opportunity, but I want to share with you inside of Word, you can also do something which you can have a developer tab. So up at the top of Word, you have File, Home, Insert, Design, Layout. There's References, Mailings, things like that. Review, View. Some of you might see Help. You can have add-ins that it's called the developer add-in. And the developer add-in gives you an opportunity to have more visual capabilities inside of Word itself. Okay, you can do recordings, you can do timelines, you can do charts, you can create mapping, customized mapping, you can restrict editing, and you can also integrate Adobe. This stuff is easy to watch on YouTube, guys. A few minutes on these videos and people will teach you exactly how to add these in. That's how I learned it. So I love the add-in features inside of Microsoft Word. Okay. The add-in features are huge. One of the big add-ins that I love is the Lucid Chart Diagrams add-in. So if you want to install Lucid Charts, it's Microsoft Word. You're going to go to the Insert tab and you're going to get add-ins. Or I think maybe it says Office add-ins. And then you're going to search for the Lucid Chart Diagrams and you're going to look like that's in the add-in store. And then you're just going to add it to install it. And it's going to show in. Okay. You have built-in Smart Art, but the Lucid Chart Diagrams, again, gives you the capability to layer in diagrams and visual features that are going to elevate your reports to the next level, right? It's not just words. We all know that visibility and images, diagrams can help put things into perspective that otherwise might go out of context or might not have the same or similar impact. And that's what it's really about, is power and impact. When you're having these reports, remember, as a consultant, your reports are used as educational material. All right. So it makes it super, super valuable to to have some of these add-ins that will allow your reports to be more robust for your attorney clients. And again, more information that's more easily consumable. Okay. And that's key. That's a really key element. You want your information to be easily consumed so that they can use and elevate the knowledge you shared with them in their case. Okay. So that's a really big deal. Smart art is good, but it does have its limits, which is why I like the lucid chart diagrams. Microsoft Visio, if you have access, it's another powerful tool. This is so cool because it creates timelines and flow charts. And they can be inserted into your diagrams. So Microsoft Visio, again, same thing. Go into the insert tab, go to the add-in store. You can add that in. Microsoft also has this cool thing where you have like Word specific add-ins, Microsoft Word, and then there's .com add-ins, which are other features that you can bring in, like mapping planes. Mapping planes are a little different than timelines. Think of it as, there's a bracket here, and then the line zigzags over here, and then it's more of it makes me think like a roadmap. If you want to use that word. All right. So there are other tools I know some have mentioned, like case maps and stuff. I feel like they're clunky. No offense. It didn't match my personality, and it didn't match the things that I liked to use. And I was much more efficient and effective with Microsoft Word add-ins. A lot of people use Word docs, and then because records are all PDF, I needed ways to highlight, flag, paginate, reorganize, rearrange, store, edit, comment as I'm going through, and I'm like, well, this seems out of place. I can put a comment. All that stuff I do inside of Adobe. So I use both of them, right? So what I really love is I love having both of them up, and I love the Adobe Pro to really analyze everything, organize, do all of the touch points. Carrie says, share an example. Share an example of what? What are we sharing an example about? I think Carrie, you wrote share an example. Be a little bit more specific for me. So if I'm looking at my reports again, or I'm looking at records, and I am, trying to reorganize or do something in the records, or I'm screening the records and I'm leaving comments, I love Adobe DC Pro for that. It's just my jam. It works so well. And I love having Microsoft Word up with my add-ins and my template already plugged in so that I can make comments and notes and do a rough draft and then edit to upscale and plug in those timelines or bar charts sometimes, right, that are impactful when it comes to billing, or any other sort of visual effect, or maybe like a mapping plane when I need it to follow them in. So I went through that, Carrie. The add-ins, when you add them into Word, it's super easy. You go to the Insert tab inside of Word, and then you're going to click on Get Add-ins. It might also say Office Add-ins, and then you can search there. The ones I love are Lucid Chart. It's called Lucid Chart Diagrams. One of the other ones I like is Microsoft Visio. And I also like the XML Mapping Plane. Those are ones that I like. And there are tons of them, guys, tons of them. You can add them in, test them out, play with them, figure out there are hundreds. And Google some of the top ones that could be beneficial for you. So those are really cool as far as softwares for report writing and report analysis, okay? But to be honorable of your time, I want to jump into other softwares that I like to use. Now, when you're running an LLC business, you also have the emailing. You also have the calendar syncing. You have your phone number, things like that. So I like to use something called eVoice. eVoice is an app that you can use online that integrates into your current cell phone, but you can create your own business line on that. Okay, it's an online phone number and it integrates. It's super cheap. I love eVoice for that. I like Calendly for calendars. Super user-friendly, simple to set up, and integrates with a lot of other platforms. Calendly. All right, Calendly. The other one that I love for email tracking is Aweber. 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 It's super easy. And it's cheap. It's super cheap too. And it's also super easy to understand and integrate. Minimal learning curve. Easy to set up automations and emails if you're going to use a separate email system. You can still function from like a Gmail or something like that. It just might get hard to manage all the incoming emails. And then when you're blasting out emails, you're gonna have to send the same email like hundreds of times. And that's not something you really want to do. You want to be able to set up something called a campaign or a pipeline or flow, like a flow chart. And that stuff can be done easily inside of Aweber. So I know I'm talking about a lot of systems here, right? You guys are thinking, wow, like these are all subscriptions, and they are. They are all subscriptions, and they do start to add up, okay? And that's the unfortunate part, is there are tons of softwares out there, but then you spend a little bit of time integrating and piecing them together. There is a software called Zapier, Zapier, that you can zap something from one software to another and have it trigger to do certain things. Just put that in the back of your mind. If you're just getting started, that's probably not something that's a necessity. But what's super cool is you will find yourself wanting to connect things in some sort of sequence in an automated fashion, so you don't have to manually do it. And Zapier is really, really great for that. There is a version of Zapier that is totally free. And depending on how much you use it and how many times you integrate it, it could also be something that you use the free version for. At scale, you're likely going to end up paying for a version, okay? Again, cheap, right? It's not pay for the most robust thing. It's really like tiered out. So super cool. As far as some of the business management tools, okay? Now learning, again, there is a learning curve with Aweber, but it's super simple. There are other email CRMs, and it's just, they can be a lot. They do a lot. But you don't necessarily need things to do a lot, right? One of the things I love about the LNC Blueprint, so you can see right now how I've just mentioned a ton of systems and things that I love, that I like to use, right? Oh, let me jump in for billing, okay? So for billing and time tracking, for estimates and invoices, I like to use, I currently use my system, but if I didn't have my system, the LNC Blueprint, I would use QuickBooks. Now, there are other options other than QuickBooks. I will say that QuickBooks may not necessarily be my favorite. It's just, I've been on QuickBooks for years. So I like to tell people when they say, is QuickBooks the best? There are other options like ZeroBooks or FreshBooks. Are some of the other ones. You can Google search that one as well. There are lots of top accounting software out there now that are very user-friendly and easily integrate into a lot of other platforms. So QuickBooks isn't a necessity. It is super cheap for me to own and manage and works well with my personality, but there are others that do the same. My estimates and my invoicing can come out of QuickBooks. I can time track my projects inside of QuickBooks, which would technically be like the cases for you. If you're doing case management, right? Per case, you would label the product in QuickBooks, or I'm sorry, a project in QuickBooks. It also does the accounting features, transactions. You can link your bank accounts and your business credit cards into QuickBooks. So as far as an accounting software, it is very robust. It does do a lot. It creates and generates reports. It categorizes. It's something where you can give your accountant access to it, and they can help you inside of your QuickBooks from their profile. So very, very doable, very, very robust, very helpful, also robust. So I do know if you're looking for something more simple, there is a ZeroBooks, which is XERO, and there is a FreshBooks. Carrie says, what is a good budget when thinking about your tech software stack of things you need to run an LNC business? So that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I remember budgeting a while ago thinking, holy cow, how much I spend on all these little softwares, because $17 and $15 and $22 and $49, a month, all these start to add up. I would say in general, if you're doing all these softwares separately in Zapier and you're integrating and you have an email system, you're going to look at $400 or $500, right? $400 or $500 a month in softwares, and a learning curve to integrate all of them. You could pay someone to sync everything up, because usually once it's hooked up once, it's good to go. So that is something worth investing, and I would encourage you to invest in. The LNC blueprint that we have was actually something that I partnered up with 2 attorneys because I simply needed to simplify getting off all these extraneous platforms. So for those of you who are inside the LNC Accelerator, for those of you who have seen our 16-week program or who are interested in the Business Kickstarter program, that's the 16-week program, we have something called the LNC Blueprint. It's built out and templated for legal nurse consultants specifically. And so what's really cool is it does all the elements that I've mentioned prior to. It does it's the HIPAA compliant portal, and I'll get to that. It's the HIPAA compliant document exchange. It's the portal where you can do timekeeping. I love it because you can actually click a button, track your time, pick the case, and it goes right over to logged time for you to send on the invoice. Billing, invoices, estimates, emails are inside of there. SMS text messaging is inside of there. All your case tracking is inside of there. So you can see at what phase and what case you are. We have all the pipelines pre-built. We basically blueprinted it off of my business. So I built out all these pipelines so I could onboard attorneys on automate without me physically or manually having to do anything, onboard subcontractors, watch cases come in through the platform, and see them automatically be tagged so that the next person knows what to do, when to do. We had again, a list of contacts. So the calendar syncing is in there. You can sync up for payments and receive funds and money. They do have a payment processor you can sync in. I mean, it's amazing. So the LNC Blueprint is so cool. It allowed us to take all these extraneous software systems and stick it all inside one. I still use, even with the LNC Blueprint, I still use Adobe Pro. And I still use Word to format, analyze, and actually craft my reports, but I use the LNC Blueprint for the HIPAA-compliant document exchange portal that we have in there. Yes, Carrie, the Blueprint is only available to our Legal Nurse, our LNC Business Kickstarter program students and alumni. We do plan to take this public next year, so it will be available to all LNCs, but for now, it is exclusive. We give you your first 4 months free access to that. It is a subscription, but it is cheaper than plugging all the others in extraneously. So it's a super cool all-in-one use for that because there are so many programs. And I did fail to mention earlier, I mentioned inside of the Blueprint, we have the HIPAA compliant portal for document exchange. And that is yet another software to use or to gain access to if you don't have the LNC Blueprint. There are some who use some of the attorneys they work with, they already have databases that house medical records for them. So they'll use some of those. Another good one is Dropbox because you can password protect it. So you have to look up where those are, those document exchanges and document storage, so that you can load your PDFs and transfer those documents securely. It does need to be HIPAA compliant. Just sending them as attachments inside of an email is not good. I don't think that's usually, I don't feel like that's industry standard. You definitely want to have some sort of 2-layer protection to get into those documents, to see them, to share them, to exchange them, or make sure you're encrypting all of your emails when you are doing document exchange that way. There is also a limit because you can't send large files through email. So just remember that when you're looking. Dropbox is a really user-friendly one. Tons of people use Dropbox. It's been around for a long time, but there are other platforms you can use. I used Dropbox before I had the LNC Blueprint. Some say they use Google Drive, and I think Google Drive is fantastic as long as you are like password protecting your stuff. Okay, because there is a share feature, and you just want to make sure you have the right access granted, and that if you are going to share those reports or documents with your attorney, that you do put them in PDF format so that it shouldn't be altered when you're sending that record in. Yes, loving it. Fantastic. Look at all the comments and the links drop. That's amazing. Thank you, Carrie. So I just kind of blew through a lot of systems. I know I shared a lot of information with you guys. I love the idea of you guys getting started for your businesses. The softwares can, again, become cumbersome, but you can always convert to other softwares. And what's really cool about starting your business is that it's just one software at a time, right? So for those of you who are interested, drop a comment, let us know if you're interested in the LNC Accelerator. We can jump on a call with you and just make sure that it's a good fit. Make sure that we're certain we can help you. And with those who do join, who start their business with our support, as we coach them along, they get access, 4 months free access to our LNC Blueprint, which is specific for LNC businesses. Most of our nurses use it. They love it. It's a robust system built specifically for LNCs. And we just copy and paste inside of your login or your account, all the automations from my firm. And so you basically get prime access to all the flow charts, the automations, the pipelines, the funnels, everything. It's all there. So super convenient for you guys. And we do that because we want you to be able to grow your business faster and with ease. And with less resistance, right? So lots of really cool things, guys. I truly do love the add-in feature inside of Word. Hundreds of add-ins and so much you can explore with and use to elevate your report and your report writing skills and the information you transfer to those attorneys that you're working with. And I love Adobe DC Pro. So yes, these are just my favorites. There are so many out there. So I think it's cool that there are lots of options, but just to give you a place to kickstart off of, those are my favorites that I like to use and why I like to use them. I hope this has been helpful for those of you. Drop your questions and comments in our thread. We're always excited to share information with you guys, and we will see you live here next Thursday. On our channels, coming back with just more live interactive training guides. If you like what you see, give us a like and subscribe to our channels, and we will see you next Thursday. Have a fantastic weekend.